Welcome back to another video. Today we're going to be talking about forest portraits and how you can take better forest portraits. It's Tutorial Tuesday. Welcome back to Tutorial Tuesday, where each and every Tuesday we bring you a brand new, fresh photography tutorial. Now this week, certainly no different, we're going to be talking about forest portraits. We're allowed outside again, kind of. And certainly we can go by ourselves or with one other person from our household or meet up with one other person, and as long as we're social distancing, we can take some portraits. So time to break out those 85mm and head to the forest. So we're talking about some tips to take better forest portraits. So there's loads of stuff you can do in a forest to take better portraits, but tip number one is all about the light. Now, of course, we're coming to summer. There's loads of sun, which is so lovely for sitting out in the garden and just going out in general. But it can be a bit of a nightmare for photography because that harsh sunlight can cause loads of squinting, especially for portraits, and really contrasty photos as well, which maybe you don't want. Now, we do have a video all about shooting in harsh sunlight, but the forest is a great place to go when it's really sunny because you're getting that natural shade, which gives you really beautiful light. It's really flattering and it's much easier to shoot in because your model's not going to be squinting and you're not going to have to use crazy exposure and get those crazy contrasty images. Now, something that's really nice is using the light that's just coming through the leaves and through the trees to your advantage. You can actually set up your model so that they're standing there with the light on them, and it can really help to emphasize them in the frame. It can really add an extra touch of beauty to the photo. It's worth looking out for these little spots of light. You'll see them kind of dappled across the floor, and maybe just position your model in a place where you're going to make the most of that light. Now, tip number two is to shoot through things. We talk about this all the time, but in the forest, this is a great opportunity. Shooting through leaves, trees, branches, bushes, anything that's around you. There's so much beauty around in a forest that you can shoot through leaves and flowers and all kinds of things. And it gives an extra foreground element. It gives an extra visual interest to your photo, an extra kind of dimension to look at. So you've got a blurred foreground, your subject, and then a blurred background. It can look fantastic and it can really help to add just that extra little finishing touch to a great portrait. Now, tip number three is not to forget to look down. This can be a huge one. It's something that I've missed out on loads of times, but looking down at the forest floor can be really, really beautiful by itself, and there's loads of different types of forest floor that you can be dealing with, and this can be a great place to position your subject. If they're happy to either lie on the floor or sit on the floor, that can be a really different kind of image. So using that forest floor kind of as a backdrop, you can have wooded forest floors, you can have long grass, flowers. There's loads and loads of stuff that you can do to create a beautiful portrait just using the floor. And tip number four is to use your focal length to actually control your background. Now, we've done a whole video about this. I'll post that down in the description so you can go and check that out. But essentially it comes down to this. Using an 85mm lens or a 35mm lens is obviously going to give you a very different looking image. But if you're trying to position yourself so you get your subjects framed in the same sort of way in the image, you're going to have a very different looking background, and using a longer focal length to compress that image can actually lead to being able to control your background. It means you can crop out things you don't want in there. So if you've got part of a lovely, beautiful forest, but then there's a building or something like that, you can actually use a longer focal length to make sure that's not part of your image. When we went out earlier today, I took a 35mm, I took an 85mm. And I used both for different things, but I was using that 85mm to make sure that I was removing unwanted things from my background to get exactly the image that I want, to get that foresty vibe, that foresty feel. So we've really just scratched the surface of tips for forest portrait photography. So if you have any of your own, pop them down in the comments. I'd love to hear any tips that you might have. And if you go out and take some forest portraits, make sure to tag us on Instagram. I'd love to see them. You can tag us at @parkcameras or use the hashtag #parkcameras as well. And we may even feature some of our favorites in a future video where we can plug your Instagram as well. Don't forget to do all the things us YouTubers tell us to do, like, subscribe, ring the bell if you want. I'll see you in the next video. And as always, thanks for watching.